But when you finally sit down, kick back, and watch your absolute favorite anime, what do you actually see? You see these incredible high octane fight scenes, right? You see those really deep emotional character moments, and just fluid, breathtaking animation. But what you don't see is the enormous, genuinely grueling, kind of magical machine working relentlessly behind the scenes. So today, we're going to demystify that exact machine. We are exploring the factory of dreams and deadlines that creates the shows you love. And honestly, I promise you, by the time we wrap this up, you will literally never look at 24 minutes of animation the same way again. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We are going to start with planning and pre-production, move right into storyboards and layouts, jump into the animation process, see how it all comes together in compositing and post-production, and then, finally, we'll take a hard look at the human cost. Section 1, Planning and Pre-Production, the business engine. Because long before a single frame is ever drawn, a massive business engine has to get started. So an anime usually kicks off with something called kikaku, the planning phase. Now, a lot of people just assume a studio wakes up one day and decides to draw a show. But honestly, that's rarely the case. Usually they're adapting an existing IP. We're talking a hit manga, a light novel, or maybe a video game. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. Producing anime is incredibly expensive. Adapting something that already has a built-in fan base is really the best way to mitigate those massive financial risks. And to put that into perspective, producing just one single television episode can cost anywhere from $100,000 to over $300,000. That's a lot of money on the line. So to handle this, multiple companies get together and form a Seisaku Iinkai, or a production committee, to share that cost. And every single member wants a different piece of the pie. The manga publisher, they want to boost book sales. The TV network wants eyeballs on screens. The music label is there to sell those catchy opening and ending theme songs. And the streaming platform just wants to drive up subscriptions. They all fund the project together, which ironically is exactly why the animation studio itself sometimes ends up seeing only a tiny fraction of the profits. Section 2, Storyboards and Layouts, the blueprint phase. This is where the funding is secured, the scripts are locked in, and the written word finally starts taking a visual shape. Now, this is fascinating. There is a stark difference in global animation styles here. Japanese storyboards, known as akante, are often incredibly rough. They're messy and they are drawn fast. But here's the thing, that is entirely intentional. They deliberately leave room for the animators to interpret the scene, act through their drawings, and add their own unique flair. Western storyboards, on the flip side, are typically much cleaner and way more precise. They have to be heavily prepared because the animation itself is often fully outsourced to other studios where exact step-by-step instructions are needed. Let's move to and see how this builds. This is the exact pipeline a single frame goes through to actually come to life. From that rough storyboard we just talked about, we move to the layout, which acts as the architectural blueprint for the camera and the background. Then comes key animation, and finally, in-betweening, to smooth the whole thing out. Section 3, the animation process, the heart of the studio. This is it. This is the phase everyone immediately pictures when they think of anime. It all starts with Genga. These are the key animation drawings. Master animators don't sit there and draw every single frame, right? They draw the most important poses, the core skeleton of a movement. But they aren't just drawing, they are literally acting. The Genga animator decides the physics, the momentum, the center of gravity, and even the emotional restraint of a scene. Think about a subtle glance, or the intense anticipation right before a sword strike. That absolute genius comes directly from the Genga artist. And to really understand the climb to get to that master level, listen to this humbling quote from a rookie animator featured in a documentary about the making of Little Witch Academia. They said, "I thought this was okay, but then a revision comes back that's several levels above. I realize I'm completely useless." Man, that perfectly captures the massive skill gap between young, ambitious artists and master directors like Yo-Yo Shinari, who can just completely transform a scene's fluidity and impact with a few swift, brilliant corrections. And speaking of Little Witch Academia, consider this number for a second. 17,000. For context, a normal, standard television episode of anime typically requires somewhere between 3,000 and 8,000 drawings. The Little Witch Academia short, which is only about 23 minutes long, took an astounding 17,000 hand-drawn frames. It's a staggering testament to the sheer physical volume of artwork you actually need for high-quality fluid movement. So, you might be wondering, who exactly draws all the frames between those master key poses? Well, that's the doga phase. Doga is the in-between animation and line cleanup that connects the keyframes to make the movement buttery smooth. And let me tell you, it is incredibly grueling, highly precise work. Because of the immense volume of drawings needed, this specific task is frequently outsourced, often to specialized studios in places like Vietnam. It makes anime a truly massive international collaboration. Section 4. Compositing and post-production. Polishing the animation. Because once all those tens of thousands of drawings are done, we enter the polish phase. Right now, our animation is essentially just a giant, staggering stack of black and white flipbook. To turn those flipbooks into a living world, a massive parallel effort kicks off. Teams begin digital coloring, making sure everything matches perfectly to the character design sheets. At the exact same time, the bijutsu, or background artists, are painting these stunning environments. Get this. Sometimes an artist can spend up to 9 hours painting just a single, highly detailed background. Meanwhile, 3D CGI is being woven in for things like big crowds, complex vehicles, or crazy camera pans. And finally, the seiyuu, the incredibly talented Japanese voice actors, step into the booth for Afureco, matching their powerful emotional performances to the animated mouths. And then comes satsue, or compositing. This is the magical glue of anime, often done in software like After Effects. Satsue is where the characters, the backgrounds, the CGI, and all the special effects are finally layered together. The compositors add the lighting, the lens flares, the glowing magic, depth of field, and those dynamic digital camera moves. It is exactly the step that makes flat 2D drawings feel like a rich, epic, cinematic experience. Section 5, the human cost, the reality behind anime. Because for all this breathtaking on-screen magic, we have to ask, what is the reality behind the screen? So the crucial point is, the contrast between the beautiful finished product and the harsh realities of the studio is pretty stark. The anime industry is fueled almost entirely by passion, and it pushes these artists to their absolute physical limits. The schedules are overlapping and totally relentless. It is honestly not uncommon to see animators just sleeping in studio chairs or curled up beneath their desks. Pay can be notoriously low, especially for those young rookie in-betweeners who might literally be paid per drawing rather than a livable salary. The pipeline just never stops, to the point where some episodes are finished quite literally hours before they are broadcast to millions of viewers. Which brings us to a very modern and very real question looming over the entire industry. With all this immense human labor, the low pay, and the sheer exhaustion, will AI just step in and replace anime artists? Well, the short answer, at least based on how this incredibly nuanced industry operates today, is no. Look, while artificial intelligence can certainly help with the tedious stuff like background tasks, digital cleanup, or organizing references, it cannot replicate the actual soul of anime. AI lacks human emotion. It cannot replicate that nuanced comedic timing or the physical anticipation before a strike or the profound emotional restraint of a human animator making highly intentional acting choices on the page. Ultimately, the heart of anime is human storytelling. So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Next time you sit down, grab some snacks, and press play on your favorite anime, what are you going to see? Are you just going to see the vibrant colors and the cool action? Or will you look past the screen and see the thousands of invisible, deeply passionate artistic choices made by an exhausted, relentless, and incredibly dedicated team? Because behind every 24 minutes of magic is a lifetime of human craft.